This is a continuation of the API front-end project series. In this video we're going to be working in our register file, so we're going to be able to register a user with a name, email, and a password. And in the Redux toolkit we're going to be able to get our token, most importantly our token. So I have opened MongoDB because we're going to be using both the front end and the back end, so since they're going to be connected. And right now I am in this collection named users. I have user 1, user 2, and user 3. So my MongoDB database is open. What else do I have here? I have we're going to be using uselector, we're going to be using usedispatch, usenavigate, the local storage, and useEffects. So right now I'm gonna go into my terminal and let me see, I'm gonna open it. So I'm gonna type ls and I'm gonna go into express, a folder name express ls, and I'm gonna go into API, and then I'm gonna just press code space that so I can open it in Visual Studio Code. So right now, as you can see, we have both the back end and the front end. And in the back end, as you can see here, we are using the port 8000. So if we go now to our front end, to our source, just if we go to our front end and we go into the package.json of the front end, in the previous video we added a proxy in the package.json. This is important because with this URL we're going to be able to connect the backend to the front end. So this proxy is to the http://localhost 8000 because in the backend the port is 8000. So we have that, and it's not just gonna go to the localhost 8000. It's gonna go, if we go into source, if we go into features, and we go to the users servers, it's gonna go to the localhost 8000 /API/users, and we're gonna have a post request because we are not gonna get something, we are gonna create the user. This is a register. We're gonna register the user. And well, we saw this in the previous video. We have the user servers here. We are passing the user info. Something important in this one, it was user. I added an s. It's gonna be users because if I go here back into my backend and I go into controllers and users controller, when we create users, so I have here this variable, I have it as users, so I will have to change pretty much most of it. But if I just leave it like this as users, so I am awaiting for the model. So I have the name, the email, the password is hash, then again we have the variable users, and here we have the ID that is going to be users.id, users.name, users.email, and then the token. So it's going to be users. So that's what is changing just in the okay, this is the back end. We go into the front end, so this is what is changing here in the user service and our inside of the user folder, inside of the feature folder. And again, this is a continuation, so if you feel kind of lost, you can check out the API front end series or the API backend series. So this is how we started. So well, then we go into the users slice, and here we created again this variable named user. I just changed it to user, so I just added an s. So this variable named users is gonna JSON.parse local storage get item, and it's gonna look for this item users. Then again we have here users. If there's a user, we're gonna use that user. If not, it's just gonna be null. And what else? So this asynchronous is passing users, so it's passing users, and again we're gonna return away user server, and we're gonna register users. So that is the only thing that is changing. and the name is users, and the state is gonna be here, state.users and state.users. So nothing is changing, everything is like that. So we can start, let's control tilde so we can start the front end, and we're gonna start the back end and the front end. So we're gonna npm run and npm run front, so we can, okay, so we can start the localhost 3000. Okay, it's starting here. Maybe it's it takes a little bit, so let's go here. Okay, so we have the navigation, we have the login, and we have the register. And if I press Ctrl Shift I, and if I go into the, let me see, let's close this, and if I go into Redux, you can see we have the action state if you have installed the Redux DevTools. So we have the users here. This is our global state users, and we have the users set to null, as error set to false, as success set to false, as loading set to false, and the message is set to an empty string. So that's fine up to this point. I also have opened the Postman. This is how we were, for example, if we do the post request and we go to the localhost 8000/API/user, and then we go into the body and we have our token, and we go into the body and we use the URL encoded, then we have the name and the password, and this is how we create a user. So we were using Postman to create a user from the back end, since we didn't have a front end. This time we're gonna create a user from the front end, and it's gonna go into our database, and it's gonna go into MongoDB. So let me see what else we need. So okay, so the front end is running. We're gonna open a new terminal, and this time it's gonna be npm run, and let me see, if I go into the package.json, it has to be Node-man. It's gonna be example npm run examples, like this, examples, npm run examples. Okay, server starting at localhost 8000. Okay, as you can see, MongoDB connected, so everything is fine. So we have our server is running in port 8000, and our client or the front end is running in localhost 3000. So right now we're gonna start working with our register. So we're gonna go into the front end, and we're gonna go into source, and we're gonna go into menu and register. We can close this one. So right now our object, or our objective, is pretty much to be able to register a user from the front end, and all the information go back into our database, to our backend. So okay, let's start it. So there's a couple of things that we are gonna bring, and we are gonna bring let me see, use selector. So we have use state and use effect. Okay, so let's bring use selector, and let's bring use dispatch. Okay, so we're gonna import, let me see, like this, use camel case notation, selector, and use dispatch, like this. And we are gonna bring it from, it was Redux or React, no, it was Redux. It was from, okay, it's from, and it's gonna be from the React Redux. Okay, so like that, React Redux from here. What else do we need? So we need the use selector, the use dispatch. We also need the, let me see. Okay, so we need to bring the function register, and let me see, it was register. We need to bring this function register, and also this function name reset. So we're gonna go and import register and reset. So we're gonna import these functions, register, okay, and also reset, and I did it for us. So it's gonna go to the features folder, and then to the users folder, and then to the user slide. So that's fine. What else do we need? So we need use state and use effect. Okay, so we need the use navigate. So let's go here, and let me see, import, and it's gonna be just use use navigate like this, and this one is gonna come from Redux. It's gonna come from the React router done like this. Okay, so we are up to this point. Let me see. So I have all the theory here. So we're gonna check out this practical example, and then I'm gonna go into the theory here. Okay, so we are in the function register. Now what we need to do is initialize the use navigate and use dispatch. So to do that, we are gonna go below of the form data like that, and we are gonna create a variable, two variables. So a variable name is gonna be use selector is gonna be const navigate. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, it's gonna be navigate like that. It's gonna be navigate, and we're gonna set it to the function use navigate like that with parentheses, and also the same with use selector. And again, we're gonna set it to use dispatch. No, here we're gonna have this variable name dispatch like this, just this variable name dispatch, and we're gonna set it to this function name use dispatch. So use dispatch and use navigate, and the variables are navigate and dispatch. So we have that up to this point. From here, what we are gonna do is we're gonna destructure from the user slice. We're gonna structure users, error, success, and message. So we're gonna destructure it, so like that, open curly braces, and we are gonna destructure it from the use selector. But let's first destructure it. So it's gonna be users. It's gonna be users is error. So separate with comma is error. What else do we have? A success is success. Let me see, and then just the message, and it's gonna be from the use selector. So we are destructuring from the use selector, and inside of the parentheses we're just gonna have this the error function, and here we're just passing as an argument, we're just passing the state. Okay, let me see, we're just gonna pass in the state, and the state is gonna be a state that, and we only have one global state right now, that is gonna be users like this. This is our global state users. Or if you go into the stores, we only have the users reducer, and this is our only global state right now, users. So we go back into the register file. So we are destructuring users as error, success, the message. We are setting it to the use selector with camel notation. We have as an argument we have the state, and then we have the state at user. So we have that. Let me see, what else do we need? So we have that up to this point. Let me see. So if we go into we need to dispatch the register. So we need to dispatch all this information, the user info. So we're gonna go into the submit, okay, and we are gonna go below, and we're gonna check in the password. So if the password is not equal to the C password, okay, it's to the C password, okay, let me see. Yeah, I have it as C password. It's not like that. If they're not equal, so we're gonna have an error. So we are gonna have, let me see, we're just gonna, okay, so we're just gonna cancel passwords, not much like that. So else we are gonna have this variable name. We're gonna have this variable name user, let me see, it was user info. It's gonna be user info, again with camel notation. So we're gonna have this variable name user info, and we are gonna set it. So this is a variable that we are gonna set it, or just we're gonna grab the name, the email, and the password. The name, the email, and the password, like this, and we're gonna save it. So we have that. What else do we need? Okay, so now we're gonna go into the user slice, and we have this export this register function, and here we have the user, the register, and we have the message here. So this is where we are gonna dispatch. So we're gonna dispatch, and we're gonna dispatch the register function, and we're gonna pass in this, the user info. So it's gonna be user info, like that. So we have that up to this point. Let me see. Okay, so we have that. Let me see, what else do we need? Register. Okay, if we go into the register, okay, make sure that we are using here JSX. So make sure that the whole code here is inside of this empty angle brackets. So here the register and create an account is inside of a section, as you can see here. Register and create an account is inside of a section. Below we are gonna have a section with a class name of form, so make sure of that. And below that we're gonna have a form, and then the function onSubmit, that is gonna be onSubmit, and then our inputs. And then we're gonna have a button. We're gonna have this button that is again inside of the form, and this button is gonna be inside of a div, and it's gonna have type submit, so make sure of that. And yeah, I think we can try it out. Let me see what we need. No, we cannot try it out. We still need, okay, we already have this function, the register, so we need to reset. Okay, so if a success is gonna be true. Okay, if it's pending, okay, if it's loading is gonna be true. If it's fulfilled, X success is gonna be true. If it's rejected, its error is gonna be true. So we are gonna go into, let me see, just let me see, what do we need? Just we're gonna go to the register and on submit. Let me see, we have on change. Okay, so we can go just below here. Okay, on change, users SR, all the structure elements are unused. Let me see why is giving me this. Reset, register, use effect, use selector from React Redux. Let me check out. So we're bringing the use selector from Redux, use state, use effect. Okay. Okay, so yeah, everything is fine up to this point. Right now we're gonna finally use the use effect, so it's gonna be use effect. And again, we're gonna be dealing right now with the practical examples, and then I'm gonna check out the theory. So we have the use effect, and inside of that we're gonna have an error function like this. We're gonna have some curly braces here, and inside of this, as an argument, we are gonna pass in, let me see what we are gonna pass in. Oh no, we don't have to pass anything, but here after the curly braces we're gonna have some dependencies, and we are gonna have, oh okay, so here that is the reason that is giving me this. So it's gonna be users as our dependencies, as error, as success, and finally message. So right now I don't have errors here, so like that. And in the use effect we are gonna have, okay, so some if statement. So let's say if is error, okay, if is error, then we're gonna do something, then we're just gonna return the message like that. Let me see, if is success, what else, what are we gonna do if it's success? So if it's success, we're gonna navigate to the root, so just to the localhost 3000 in this case, like that. If it's success, or users, like that, or users, or if the user have been created. So if the user has been created, or it has been, let me see, has been this, that fulfill. If it's successful, it's gonna be true, so like that. If we are able to register, so it's gonna send us back to the root. And finally we are gonna dispatch the reset function, so we're gonna dispatch, and we're gonna dispatch the reset function like that. And here we're not gonna pass the user info, so we're just gonna reset it. So here also we need to, as dependencies, we need to pass in the navigate and the dispatch. So it's gonna be navigate and also dispatch, so these two here, and we can save it now. So let me see, and yeah, everything looks fine here, so let's try it. So let's go first of all to the database, and if I go to users, I only have 3 users, user 1, user 2, and user 3. So let's try to register user 4. Okay, so let me see, this is the front end is running, the back end is running, so it should work. So let's go, enter your name, let's put user 4, and it's gonna be at user4@gmail.com, and then you put in a password like this, and let's see, let's just send, and let me see. Okay, so we have the user register is pending, okay, that's fine, and then users register fulfill. So if it's fulfilled, you know that it has been successful. And if we go here into users, you can see here we have the ID, we have this ID, we have the name that is going to be user 4, we have the email user 4, and also we have the token, as you can see here. So this is the important thing, so it has been successful, and since it's success, the user has been created, is returning us to the navigate, so it's returning us to the root. So right now if we go back into our MongoDB, we have user 3. Okay, let's refresh it. So right now I have, let me see, user 1, user 2, user 3, and bingo, we have user 4. So we have been able to register a user from the front end to our back end to our database. So we were able to do that. So we have the state, and as you can see here, this ID, name, email, the token, all is coming from the backend. If you go into the backend, into the controllers, into the users controller, this is the backend. We have here in the create user, this is the registration. So we're getting the ID, the name, the email, and the important, and the token. So that is the reason that we are getting here. We're getting the ID, the name, the email, the token. And let me see what else do we have. If we go into network, everything is fine here. If we go into console, no. If we go into performance, application, okay, user, and we have the ID. What else? We have the ID. Let me see. Okay, so again here, if we go into the application, if we go into the localhost 3000, we have the email, that is user 4, we have the name, user 4, we have the token, and we have the ID. So we were able to register a user from our front end page into our database, into our backend. So this is a basic example, but pretty much this is the basic of a full stack application. So we were able to connect our front end to our back end. And again, make sure that if you're having some problems, make sure that in the package.json of your front end, we have this proxy and we are setting it to the localhost 8000. Or maybe you are not using 8000 as your port for your server, maybe you're using 5000, 5500, so you would use that. In my case, I'm using the port 8000 for my server, for my backend, so that is the server that I'm using. And let me see what else we have here. So we have that. If you feel lost at any point, you can check out the API backend project series. So we have how to create an account with MongoDB and all the stuff, and then we have the continuation of the API front end project series, so you can check out from the backend to the front end. So we have the use selector. We were using the use selector. Okay, let me see the use selector here. The use selector so allows you to extract data from the Redux store state for use in this component using a selector function. So the selector function should be pure, since it is potentially executed multiple times and at arbitrary points in time. See using Redux deriving data with selectors in the Redux docs for more details on writing and using selector functions. The selector will be called with the entire Redux store state as the only argument. The selector may return any value as a result, including directly returning a value that was nested inside the state or deriving new values. The return value of the selector will be used as the return value of the selector hook. The selector will be run whenever the function component renders, unless its reference hasn't changed since the previous render of the component, so that a cache result can be returned by the hook without rewriting the selector. UseSelector will also subscribe to the Redux store and run UseSelector whenever an action ends dispatch. So as you can see, you can check out this information here, but pretty much this is the example. So we're just importing UseSelector from the React Redux. If we go here into our register, that's what we did. Let me see, use selector from the React Redux. So I also bring in the use dispatch. So let me see, use dispatch. So here we have the use dispatch. The use dispatch, this hook returns a reference to the dispatch function from the Redux store. You may use it to dispatch actions as needed, and as you saw it, we dispatch this function named reset, and also we dispatch the function named register, and also pass in this function, the user info. And all of this, if you go into the features folder, user servers, here is where we have our user info. And if we go into the user slice, this is where we have created the function register and also the reset function. So we have that up to this point. What else do we need here? And we have here, they give us an example. So we are importing use dispatch from the React Redux. When passing a callback using dispatch to a child component, you may sometimes want to memoist it with a use callback. If the child component is trying to optimize render behavior using React, that memo similar, this avoids unnecessary rendering of child components due to the change callback reference. So we have that information. What else do we have here? So we also using the use navigate, as you saw here. Once we created the user, it has been successful, return us to the root. So it's usually better to use redirect loaders and action than this hook. So the use navigate hook returns a function that lets you navigate programmatically, for example, in an effect, and then you just import it. You import use navigate from the React rather than, and yeah, this is how you do it. Navigate. Then let me see how we did it here. We just navigate to the root. So navigate, open parentheses, and then inside single quotes just the slash. So that is that. What else do we have here? So we have the use effect. Use effect is a React hook that lets you synchronize a component with an external system. So we have the use effect, the setup, and the dependencies, and we're gonna touch in more detail in later videos. And finally, the local storage property. So as you can see here, we have in the local storage, and we are able to see the email, the name, the token. So we have that, and we also have the Redux developer tools, and as you can see here, we are user/register pending, and then user register is fulfilled. So that's what you want to get fulfilled. So the other option would be as rejected. If it's rejected, something went wrong. So we have here the pending, register that fulfilled, and register that rejected. So that is that. And just something briefly. So window local storage property, the local storage read-only property of the window interface allows you to access a storage object for the document's origin. The stored data is safe across browser sessions. Local storage is similar to session storage, except that while local storage data has no expiration time, session storage data gets cleared when the page session ends, that is, when the page is closed. Local storage data for a document loaded in a private browsing or incognito session is clear when the last private tab is closed. So we have that, and you can check out, you can read more about this. We're gonna see more of this in later videos, but for now we just focused on just creating a user in our register page and pretty much linking the front end to our back end.